Hi all. Today I thought I'd take a look at limited collector's edition Christmas with the Superheroes. This is another big tabloid-sized, treasury-sized comic. The treasury editions is something that Marvel had put out. They weren't the first, but they branded this large style format as treasury, and I think that name is stuck. DC called theirs limited collector's edition. It doesn't roll off the tongue as much as Treasury. Um, just to give you an idea, this is the size of a regular comic, and this is the size of a Treasury edition, or limited collector's edition, or tabloid-sized format comic. So this one is Christmas with the Superheroes. Usually DC Comics would put out original work for these large style format, like sort of like these were sort of gifts, right? So a kid would get this along with a whole bunch of other gifts. It's kind of stocking stuffer, but you can't put in a stocking, right? This is a whole bunch of different reprints. A lot of them are from the 1940s. Back then, of course, DC, this is the 1970s, this thing came out. And DC had a large well of, of material. Like they had history going back to like the Depression era, right? So they were able to dig back and get all these great like weird stories that are kind of Christmas related. Um, I'll say this is more Christmas related than the Marvel thing I had looked at. So we'll get into it. First of all, I love this cover, and I'll tell you why in a second. So of course you got Wonder Woman, you got Batman, classic blue and gray, love it with the yellow emblem. You got Superman, of course. You've got Sandman, the original. I think it's the original Sandman and Sandy, back from the 1940s. And of course Santa. And here you have Cain. I love that Cain is on a Christmas related cover. Cain, I guess, would be an obscure DC character. He was a horror host of House of Mystery. So there are characters like him and Doctor 13 and all that stuff. So it's wonderful that Cain is on here. It's funny because I feel like they gave Cain a shave because usually he has hair growing out all over the place here. And unless I can't see it, I don't really see it here. So the back cover isn't really a wraparound. It's just the gang in silhouette, through someone's window. And this was $1, so it's about 2 or 3 times the price of a normal comic back then. So here you have table of contents. They don't really tell you page numbers or anything, but it's just there's all sorts of different stories and activities as well. As an aside, everyone knows Super Friends. The Super Friends cartoon ran for something like 14 years in different iterations. And I know everyone says their favorite would be, Challenge of the Super Friends, which had all the villains, or the Superpowers episodes, which had a lot. They expanded the DC universe because now they could get into different characters and stuff that were in the Superpowers line and stuff like that. I really love the hour long version. It's like what was that called? It was like the Super Friends hour or something like that. I loved it because it was sort of like this format, or even the digests, where it was a bunch of different stories, solo stories, team up stories, and activities and stuff. I really love that, and it really reminded me of like they had activities in those episodes, and it really reminded me of this sort of style of comic. So I enjoy those as well. Okay, so the first story is Superman's Christmas Adventure, which comes from Superman's Christmas Adventure #1. So this is, I think this story is supposed to be called Yuletide, Period of Gaiety and Goodwill Among Men. This is from 1940, and this is written by Jerry Siegel himself. And the pencils and inks are from Jack Burnley. I love this style, and Santa looks very natural. I feel like a lot of people draw Santa nowadays as the Santa costume, and it kind of shows. He just seems like a more lived-in Santa Claus here. I can't really explain it. Um, so a whole bunch is going on in this story. The Daily Planet is sending out Lois and Clark to go to the mall and get some stories on Christmas and everything like that. You know what's going on in the stores right now. There's a kid that can't afford anything, and they're really sad about that. So they propose to Daily Planet and everything that listen, let's do a charity. We'll gather a whole bunch of toys that people don't want, repair them, and give them back to people that in need. And he's like, that's an excellent idea. So Santa reads this in the paper. He's like, oh, I've got helpers back there. That's cool to know. He'll figure in later. Now, this is a common thing back then. Um, People were really excited to just write Superman stories where, he uses powers and for good and everything, and didn't really think twice about what he was doing. So Superman's just walking around, and he just like casually spies in someone's home and sees that this rich brat doesn't like any of his toys, and he has all sorts of toys. He's like, screw this, I want a yacht, and the butler's like, well, no, I mean, this gift was from your father. And he's like, I don't care, I want a yacht and all that. So Superman goes into his room when he's sleeping. Whoo! It was a different time, it was an innocent time. And kidnaps him, basically. But he flies him around and shows him children that are in need. So one child has a broken doll and loves this broken doll, and he's like, well, it's a broken doll, I mean, why is she love it? And he's like, well, it's the only thing she has, right? And goes to this other kid. I think this is the kid we saw earlier, and he's crying in his sleep because he has nothing. And the kid's like, well, they have nothing, I have everything. I never realized that. So Superman taught him a lesson, right? By going into his room while he's sleeping and flying him around the city without his parents' permission. Meanwhile, another plot, this giant airship goes to the North Pole, and we meet these two, like, old man villains here. And one is called Dr. Grouch. I can't remember what the other one's called. We'll get to it, though. And so they want to maximize Santa's factory to produce other things like screw toys. Like, you can make a lot of money if you produce, like, parts for televisions or something like that. And Santa doesn't like this idea, so he gets the elves to, like, run him out. and so the airship goes away, but they decide instead to go and take all the toys, steal all the toys from the Daily Planet for their charity. And Clark pretends to be knocked out by their gas or whatever, and he rescues Lois. And they're stunned that, like, Clark is still there and everything's going smoothly at the Daily Planet as though nothing happened. And so they go back, and they go back to Santa's workshop. And they kidnap Lois, and they're gonna, like, fly her into space. It's really crazy stuff. They smash up all of Santa's toys. Santa then enlists other toys to go fight the bad guys, and so they're shooting stuff. It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty dope, man. It's like all these toy soldiers are, like, fighting these guys. So they go back into their airship to plan whatever else they want to do. Superman then rescues Lois as she hurtles into space and still can breathe, I guess. And so they go after her again, but then so the other guy is called Meanie. Yeah, so it's Mr. Grouch and Mr. Meanie. These characters, I don't think they're, like, in continuity canon DC characters. I don't know if, like, Bryan Cranston is gonna play, like, Dr. Grouch or something, or Mr. Grouch in the next Superman movie, but yeah, so I mean, this is the kind of villains that he kind of fought back then before they started making large scale threats like a Brainiac and stuff like that, right? So Santa calls Superman over the radio, and Clark is driving his car, and he hears it, and he's like, well, I gotta get there. So Clark is like, A couple of joy killers, Grouch and Meanie, tried to persuade me to stop making toys. When I refused, they kidnapped my reindeer, and it's Christmas Eve, so I need them, right? So these two are trying to ruin Christmas because they never had a decent upbringing, is what it's supposed to be. Superman captures the truck that the deer are in, and I think that's either Grouch or Meanie, I can't remember. He gasses them. So they're okay, but they're sleeping. And so Superman throws that guy into the sleigh, and he's going to fly Santa around the world and stuff, and make his rounds. So he does that. And this is all in one story. Like, this is craziness. But I love the fast paced, like anything goes nature of it. It's exciting, you know? So yeah, uh, Santa then decides to leave those two gifts, and he goes, "You're gonna leave them gifts despite all the harm they've done to you." And I would say it's pretty serious, right? And Santa's like, "Yeah, it's Christmas time, Christmas spirit to forgive your foes. I'm sure there is some good in both Grouch and Meanie." So, so they shake hands and all that stuff. Um, and then this kid is going to give gifts to the orphans and everything now. So Superman's, I hope all you readers will remember to be generous to those less fortunate than yourselves. And now, Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year. That's a nice little Christmas story. And I don't know why they had to dig back to the 1940s to find one, but it's pretty neat. So here's a Batman story from, I think, 1970. This is from Batman issue 219. And this one's called The Silent Night of Batman. So it's written by Frank Robbins, pencils by Irv Novick, and Dick Giordano inked. So this is a quick little story. Basically, it's I think it's Christmas Eve, and Batman wants to make his rounds. He sees the bat signal, and Commissioner Gordon is like, "I didn't signal you to like fight crime or anything. I want you to take the night off, right? It's Christmas. Everyone's all nice and stuff, And Batman's like, "I'll believe that." So these carolers are singing, and Batman joins in with them. See? Meanwhile, this kid steals this gift from this woman, and looks at it and realizes, like, it's a Batman doll, and he's like, "Well, it's for some kid, right?" So he throws it back in and gives it back to the woman. It's like, why'd you steal it in the first place? So they're like, "We three kings of Orion are blah blah." Here's a guy who I think he's up to no good somehow. He runs into what he thinks is Batman, but it's like a dude. Oh, he's trying to steal from this guy. And it's a dude not dressed as Batman, but he's dressed as not dressed as Santa, but he's dressed as Batman as Santa, which I guess is a thing in Gotham sometimes. And he says, "Support Wayne Foundation Christmas Drive for the Blind." So he's blind, and he feels bad. He was going to hold him up with a gun and rob him. He's like, "I don't want to rob a blind man." And realizes the error of his ways and throws the gun into the trash, right? So all this is happening while Batman's caroling. The Christmas spirit is taking care of everything for him, I think is what the idea is here. This woman, she misses her boyfriend or husband or something, who's off on tour somewhere, and I don't know if she's gonna jump or something, but she throws a rose into the river here, and this kind of looks like a bad A, but this is the shadow of the bridge, and the boys are back for Christmas, and I guess the husband boyfriend comes out and kisses her, so all is well. So Silent Night, Holy Night, all that stuff. Batman sort of travels back in time-ish or something. He's learning about the Christmas spirit, and then Commissioner Gordon's like, "We've been waiting here all night, and not a single call has come in for you. It appears the investment you've put into this city has paid off tonight. I'm giving you a night off. So he's like, investment, spirit of Batman, Christmas spirit, and he ponders it, So that's neat, and they wish you a Merry Christmas here. That's cool. I love the look of all of this. I love the gothic shadowing and everything, and gray and blue Batman is the best, man. I love it. Batman had its own look about it. So this is from House of Mystery, and this is Cain. This is what he really looks like. I love those horror comics that DC put out. I love the horror comics that everybody put out. Weird War Tales was my favorite. I love that. Ghosts. I love at the end of each story is like, now do you believe in ghosts? I love that stuff. Cain, you'll use him enough. If it were me, I would bring back like House of Mystery or something like that, and just have like gothic horror stories with him, hosting it and stuff, and bring back some of that fun stuff, man. Here, this one's called the Night Prowler. There's a prowler on the loose. It's on the radio and stuff. These two are gonna go to bed, and they hear something. So the husband has to get up and he has a gun, and he sees something, and he goes, "Well, I'll be a son of a gun." So he goes back, and the wife is like, "Fred, what is it? Are you all right? What happened down there?" He's like, "Don't worry, honey, everything's fine." Fred, have you gone crazy? No, at least I don't think so. I just have the feeling that there may be hope for us yet, right? And then he goes to bed, and there's a quiet hoofbeats rose from the roof, carrying the sound of jingle bells out over the city towards the coming dawn. So it's Santa that you saw down there. Fun, quick, it looks horrific. I mean, I love the shadowing here. This was from House of Mystery, number 191, Night Prowler, from 1971. It was written by Len Wein, and the pencils and inks are by Bill Drott. So there you go. That's a fun little thing. It's weird to put a House of Mysteries story in here, but it fits. Here's Christmas greetings from the superheroes. So I think this is a paste up job of different art that they have around. So here's Batman and Robin with Santa. This looks like a 40s Batman and Robin. Christmas greetings from Superman. Entering through the chimney with Santa there. Happy Holiday from Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and the Flash, the old classic Flash. And you see Santa there, and they're all skiing. That's a weird setup. It's like one ski. Captain Marvel Jr. Wishes his readers Merry Christmas. That's cool. Another Wonder Woman, so she gets two of these. Wonder Woman wishes you a Merry Christmas is a dude that I don't know if he's gonna rob this place, but she's got like I don't know what's going on in this tableau here. Captain Marvel. Everyone else has action poses. It's just his like squint-eyed like face. Like that's all looking all stoic and with his smile, I guess. Whatever. Here's Mary Marvel, the world's mightiest girl. So she's flying around doing stuff, and Captain Marvel's just standing there. She's the greetings from Superboy. This is cool. He's carrying Santa around with his toys and stuff. Toys are falling all over the place. So that's neat. Nice little festive 2-page spread there. So Wonder Woman. This is, we'll get into this. So this is from Sensation Comics number 14. Yes, I know I'm only a fir tree. That's what it's called. This is from 1943. This is written by the man himself, William Moulton Marston. And here he's put his pen name Charles Moulton. We'll get to that. So it's penciled and inked by Harry G. Peter. So William Moulton Marston. If you know anything about Wonder Woman lore and you know anything about William Moulton Marston, he's an interesting dude. He created what is now the lie detector test, and he was a psychologist. But also he created Wonder Woman and had some interesting ideas about strong women, etc. It was clearly a fetish for him, and also, I mean, he did want to like present a strong female for kids and girls as well. But he was very into bondage and S&M, and you're totally going to see this in this story. Basically, you know, Wonder Woman, like Diana is investigating Nazis in this area that borders the U.S. and Canada, and I don't know what side of the border they're on for most of this story. So, um, they discover codes in like under a tree. So the whole thing is told by a tree. Basically, this tree is telling you the story of what it sees everywhere, and it can see in all dimensions. So it could see all around it, so it knows what's going on around in the forest. Um, and it's this thing's a code that Germans are apparently like sneaking into their rank and file. So anyhow, Wonder Woman's skiing around, and these kids have left home, and they're cold and they're tired, and they hole up under a tree, and apparently this woman was accosted by this German man, and the big lumberjack husband comes in, and really she wants nothing to do with this guy, but the lumberjack husband man punches him and blames her. You're going to see a lot of this like German sort of it's hard to read, but them trying to make a German accent out of all this. Anyways, the Germans are like just straight up bad guys because this was World War II, right? So he says, "Go with your mom," right? They just take off, right? So they're out in the woods. The Germans find them, and the Germans take them back to their house, and then take the lumberjack man as prisoner as well. So now everyone's in trouble. So Wonder Woman is like, well, I gotta do something here. So she's still skiing around, and she fights the Germans and everything, and saves the one kid and the lumberjack man. Meanwhile, the German man is with the woman and ties her up. So there's a lot of people being tied up here. That's not the worst of it just yet. So at one point, they're separated by a chasm. The lumberjack man, kid, woman, and German man, and the lumberjack man wants to go across and kill both of them. Right? He's just really mad, and one woman reels him back in, uses her lasso to get across, and then ties herself up. So she gets the lumberjack man to tie her up. Now, this is very early on in Wonder Woman's like lore. I think she's being tied up by her own lasso, and you know what that means nowadays. It's like she gets depowered and stuff. That doesn't seem to be the case here. So she's just tied up by her lasso, or maybe just tied up by rope or something. But she's like, tie me tighter, Jeb. The Nazis will think I was captured by one of their gang and left here. So it's all a ruse, right? So the Germans get her, and then they form a leash around her neck and have her bent over, and she's constantly bent over whenever they're walking around with a leash around her neck. What does this look like to you? And so like it's my plan's working. I'm in with them now. So then they're like, okay, now they untied her, I guess, and they put her arms across here as an arm bar because she's super strong, so she could bar that door shut, right? But this still looks like some sort of position, right? And so there's something behind the door, and she sees there's a boulder here that she has to like move. And someone is banging the door from behind, and she says, "Ouch! Stop spanking me. I'll be good." So this happens. Um, this is all very like it flew under the radar back then, but come on. So anyways, she realizes there's a kid back there, the other kid and the mother. Um, so she removes this boulder, and there's an avalanche, and it's gonna kill like um, you know, uh, Steve Trevor. Etta Candy was kind of in the first Wonder Woman. Um, but yeah, Etta Candy and Etta Candy has like a whole bunch of girls that like fight the war as well. So Wonder Woman uses the fir tree that's telling the story to bar all of the avalanche away, and so she does that, and carefully plants the tree back into the ground. Sure, like eventually. Here's Etta Candy and her little girls fighting Nazis. America expects every girl to do her duty. Get your man. um, so yeah. So anyways, at the end, the lumberjack man realizes that the wife didn't want that German man. The German man was forcing himself on her, and she knows that because Wonder Woman left her tied up so that he could see that she was tied up. That she was a prisoner too. So, anyways, and then Wonder Woman is like, "I hope I remembered everything that children want. Playing Miss Santa Claus is the most fun of all. Merry Christmas." And so Merry Christmas was had by all. So there you go. And this, I mean, if you're shocked by any of that S&M stuff, that was typical of Wonder Woman comics of this time. So, and people like look at all that William Moulton Marston stuff, the Charles Moulton stuff as suspicious, but it's interesting to read now, So that's the roots of Wonder Woman. Here's a Santa's scrambled super list. None of them are diagonal. It's all just, straight across or down. So that's pretty cool. And you have to find all these characters. There's all sorts of different DC characters of this time. Jonah Hex is here, but it's only Hex. Kong Korak. There's some obscure guys here. Oh, Cain is here. Tarzan, because Tarzan had his own mag. Tor, that's cool. Kubert. All sorts of great stuff to find in here. Sandman. Now this is interesting because it's from 1943. Adventure Comics number 82. Santa Fronts for the Mob. That's what it's called. And this was written by Jack Kirby and penciled by Jack Kirby. And inked by Joe Simon. And here it says by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. I know people talk about like comic credits and everything, and it's so unique, in the Silver Age and all that stuff with Stan Lee doing it. But Simon and Kirby were a popular team that they got credit all the time because like comic companies wanted to make sure you knew that the guys who make Captain America are doing this. So here, this is a sort of like strange, interesting story to put a superhero in. These mob guys devise a plan where they get someone to play Santa, so they get this wrestler to play Santa. And what they'll do is they'll have Santa in a store, and they'll have a contest. Will you be the lucky child? Will Santa visit you in person? So Sandman and Sandy, his teen sidekick, they suspect something is wrong. So when the wrestler dressed as Santa goes to a kid's house, then all of a sudden these mob guys rush in and steal everything. But then Sandman comes and intervenes. The wrestler doesn't know that he's being used like this. So all these guys are fighting like, Sandman and Sandy. And the wrestler man, he's fighting the bad guys as well, because he didn't realize that they were using him in this way. At one point, Sandman does get knocked out. He gets right back up again, and they defeat the guys. So the cops are gonna arrest Santa, like the wrestler man, and Sandman vouches for him, and then they're like, if you're okay with Sandman, you're okay with me. So like his word is good, and so Santa, and so the wrestler man as Santa then goes and visits underprivileged kids of what they call suicide, this slum, and so they cheer up kids during Christmas, and then at the end some Merry Christmas everybody. Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. So there you go, 1943. Jack Kirby art. Here's a sing-along with the superheroes. All the classics here. Here's Superman. Here's Hawkman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman. I think that's Robin. Maybe not. That's Batman, of course. That's Captain Marvel, Mary Marvel, and Captain Marvel Jr. Here is Sugar and Spike. Those are characters that they were kids' characters for DC. I'm pretty sure they were like in-house characters. You never really see them anymore. And here's Santa Claus with Jingle Bells. And here's a cool maze. None of this has been penciled in, so that's cool. And here's season greetings from the DC editors. It's Julie Schwartz. Murray Boltonoff. Here's Joe Orlando. And here's Joe Kubert. That's cool. Jerry Conway. Young hippie-looking Jerry Conway. This particular comic is from the 70s. So there's Denny O'Neil. That's cool. Young Denny O'Neil. And there's E. Nelson Bridwell. So there you go. And that's Christmas with the Superheroes. I thought this is a very appropriate, very nice, Christmas comic. I mean, a lot of Christmas comics purport to be holiday comics or Christmas comics, and like the stories they have in them have nothing to do with Christmas. But this is, gets you in the Christmas mood and the Christmas spirit, and really emphasizes, the goodwill towards others that should be had during Christmas. So I hope you enjoyed this walk down memory lane. Take care.